Hello, and welcome to the next episode of the Spirit and Soul podcast. I'm your host, Tiffany Cohen. Today, we are getting into it when it comes to hustle energy versus magnetic energy. There's a lot of controversy, I feel like, around this word hustle. So I want to break this down a little bit because there was a time where the word hustle was like a badge of honor, and people wore that badge of honor. I think Rachel Hollis has like a jacket, and like inside of her jacket has the word like hustle in it, if I'm not mistaken. Like, I feel like there was this time in life where that hustle energy was something to be rewarded, valued. And then all of a sudden, there was this huge shift to come out of hustle culture and to say that hustle energy was not good at all. It was like offensive, and like all of these negative connotations that came with the word hustle. Now, I want to talk about both having hustle energy and magnetic energy, because there is absolutely something to magnetic energy, and that's what you always want to be in. And I do think that there's a time and a place for hustle energy. I really, really do. I don't think that we can just take this word and throw it away and be like, well, I don't hustle. Like, that's not good or whatever. It's like, it depends on where you're coming from when you are in that hustle energy, number one, and how you really feel about it. So, hustle energy is really mostly a survival state. Okay. It's really about this energy of like urgency, and it's a pressure. Like when you're hustling, it's usually like a pressure energy. And that's when people usually say like, I'm hustling right now. They're like, they're moving, they're grooving, they're getting everything done, but it's usually being done with a massive amount of pressure, a massive amount of urgency. They're gripping, they're holding on tightly, they're making moves, and they're not ever really sitting in the feminine aspects of what could really be in that hustle energy. Okay. So it's really, hustle energy is definitely a masculine energy to be in. Okay. It is that pushing, moving forward, it's making things happen. And I feel like where people get off track with hustle energy is that there's a lot of like square peg round hole type of situations where it's like you just want to make it work, you just want to get it done. There's a lot of fear that's associated with the hustle. Like, if I just do this, it'll get there. If I just do this, if that right there is where hustle energy loses its way to work for you. Okay. And I say this because hustle energy can absolutely work for you. If you are in a place, let's say in your life, doesn't even just have to be in business, but in life, where you're like, you have all this momentum and you are making things happen in your life and you are really getting things done because you're riding a wave of momentum, hustle's gonna have to come with it, because a lot of times you have to run to keep up with soul flow. When you have momentum, I am a very big believer that momentum comes from a place of soul flow, meaning that you can't just ride this wave, like have this surge of energy without having the universe really behind it and without having your soul as the one that's guiding and moving you to and through it. This is my belief. And so when you are riding that wave of momentum, you're going to have to run to keep up with it. And there's nothing wrong with that. And you could call it momentum. Hustle. You could call it whatever you want. But at the end of the day, it basically is a hustle energy, meaning that you're moving your ass, right? Like you're moving, you gotta go, you gotta run to keep up with it. That to me, there's nothing wrong with. You need that in life sometimes. You need that because when you're in soul flow, things happen really, really fast. And oftentimes it takes your body time to really catch up to whatever it is that you're moving through. And I love that. Like, I love when I am in that kind of state, when I am running to keep up with things because everything is so aligned and happening so quickly that I have to run to keep up with my timeline, right? With that new timeline, because a new timeline is going to require more of you than your old timeline did. And that in between can feel a little bit messy. We talk about this, right? The messy middle. That in between can really feel like that. And in that in between, you're probably going to be running if you're keeping up with a new timeline. And that's beautiful hustle energy right there. Because at the end of the day, of each day, you're probably going to be what I call beautifully exhausted. And that's okay too. Like, that means that the dreams and all of the things are lining up for you to have that, like, oh, like when I was opening Spirit and Soul, I remember saying that all the time, because at the time I was working full-time in corporate America, and also then coming right, not even going home, coming right into the shop and setting it up and doing inventory and doing all the different things that we needed to do to open. And at the end of every day, I went to bed absolutely exhausted with the biggest smile on my face. And yeah, baby, I was hustling. I was hustling to get things moving. I was hustling to open up the shop. I was in that hustle energy, but in the most beautifully divine feminine way that you could be in. And that's where I want you to start to see the really big difference there. I don't want you to wear hustle from a lack mindset as a badge of honor. I want you to wear that hustle energy in the divine feminine, meaning that you're in soul flow. I want you to wear that one with a badge of honor because you're moving with your soul. Okay. And you don't have to say I'm hustling. If that word doesn't feel right to you, don't say it. Really, what's happening is you're magnetic, right? And that right there is the difference between hustle energy from a lack place and magnetic energy. When you're in that hustle from divine feminine, you are magnetic to everything that you want. You are magnetic to the right people. You're magnetic to the right opportunities. You are just in this place. And if you can truly let go of fear, if you can truly let go of anything that's happening within the mind, that's happening within the body, like, can I keep up with this? Because it's going to happen. If you can really let it go and just ride the wave, ride that wave, you will become the most magnetic version of yourself. I assure you that. I assure you. Hustle from fear is deeply, deeply related to the nervous system, really in a way of like fight, flight, freeze. Okay. It's in this energy of like, and really what you're doing is you're running, right? And you're not running from, you're trying to run to make it happen, to keep it, because you're afraid that the momentum's going to slow down. You're afraid that you may start to become overlooked, that it's just short lived, that this is just short lived. And you're afraid of that. And when you sit in that energy, it will be short lived. When you sit in that energy, you're going to slow down. And eventually you're going to slow down. You will, even when it's in the divine feminine energy, you have to. The universe is made up of ebbs and flows. Okay. However, it doesn't mean that you slow down to a place where you were in the past. It doesn't mean that you slow down and become an old version of you. It just means that you level out. You're leveling. You're creating a new bar for yourself. And again, whether this is in business or whether this is in life, maybe it's like in a fitness journey or in a personal development journey, whatever it is for you that you feel like you're running to keep up with, I want you to make sure that when you're running to keep up with it, that you're running from a beautiful place of soul flow. Because when you're in that state, you're not in fear. There's no, I mean, listen, there might be fears that come up, but you push them aside. You say, no, 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 no. That's not our story. That's an old story, right? It's going to remain like this or better. And the more that you can really do that, the more that you can stay in that place, the more magnetic you're going to be. And that's why the momentum, or maybe the new way of being, it's not going to slow down. Like, you don't have to fear it, because you're going to continue to be magnetic. You're going to continue to be in that spot, because when you are aligned with what you're doing, when you are not gripping it, not trying to control it, but actually just in it, beautifully, amazingly in something, and you surrender to it. And yeah, you're doing the work to keep up with it, right? Like, you're doing the things to keep up with it. But when you're in that place, you are just so beautifully magnetic in that spot that really nobody can take you out of it. The only person that can take you out of it is really you. So as you evolve in life, whether it's your business, whether it's you as, in whatever endeavor you are in, hustle energy from lack is not going to work for you anymore, because you're really vibrating too high for that. Like, there's never a time where I'm really, I shouldn't say never, okay, because never say never, but it's more rare that I get into an energy of hustle mentality from a very lack mindset. Because number one, I don't sit in lack mindset. That is just not who I am anymore. It's who I used to be. That is never who I am at this point in my life. And what happens when you evolve out of that, it's like you can kind of see where these things could be coming up. You can kind of see where, and catch yourself in that lack mindset, and move yourself out of that lack, of that hustle energy, that fear energy, and start to move you into a place of, this feels good. I'm raising my vibration. And hustle from lack will always cap your growth, because then at that point, it's really hard for you to believe that you can receive. And that's where you then stop becoming magnetic to the things that you want. You just can't. So magnetic energy is relaxed. It is certain. It is you feeling your magnet. Now, listen, we all have an inner magnet inside of us. We all have this inner magnet that you can turn on at any moment. So what you can really do right now, if you've never felt this before, is tune into it. And you can tune in, and you know exactly how a magnet works. And you can really call that magnetic energy forward. You can bring that magnetic energy forward. You can start to feel it coming out from within you, and then coming out from all around you. And you can feel it within your energetic field. Now, your energetic field really goes out about 6 feet around you. Or, depending on where you hold your energetic field. But because you can pull it in, you can let it go out further. But generally speaking, it goes out about 6 feet, and you can feel that magnetic energy just radiating off of you. And magnetic energy, like I said, is certain, right? It's a certain energy. So it's like, I know who I am. I know what I'm calling in. I'm rooted. I'm grounded. I'm steady. Okay. And I know that I am the magnet. And then when you're doing this, the heart, the body is really open to allow yourself to receive. It's ready, it's open to receive, so that nothing really can pass you by. And you're moving, instead of fear, from a place of fear, you're moving from inspiration, because it feels good to be magnetic. It does feel inspired to be magnetic. So really looking at your energy now, what I want you to do is start to see where you are in hustle mode in your life. If you are really, really, like, ways that you can identify hustle is like you're moving really, really fast. And you feel like you're coming from a place of like, I have to do this, I have to do this, I have to get this done. And that is the energy within your body. your to-do list is constantly in your head, constant. I'm not like, okay, I have to get this done today. I have to get this, but your to-do list is just on repeat. It's like, okay, you didn't do this. Okay. And then you're starting to feel guilty about the things that you did not do. And the other thing is that when you do have success, you don't enjoy it. You are just moving right on to the next thing. You're not really truly enjoying the success. You're not giving yourself that pat on the back. You're not celebrating. What you are doing is just moving right on, not even acknowledging, just keep go, 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 go. Also in this, you feel guilty resting. Now, I want to zoom in on this one for a moment because I'm going to say women / I'm going to say moms in general, I think have a real hard time with the rest aspect. So generally, women I think are feeling this the most, where they feel guilty for resting. The way that you can feel is if you're feeling it from a hustle, and maybe the whole thing, maybe the whole reason is that hustle mentality. But the reality is that you are just really sitting in this guilt, right? This is where I would say, is it guilt or is it fear? And also guilt. The fear part would be that hustle. Like I'm fearing like it will, well, if I relax, then I'm not going to get things done. If I relax, then no money's going to come in. If I relax, then I'm not working towards my goal. That is not how the universe works. Remember, ebbs and flows. Yes, you have to take aligned action. And sometimes aligned action is you resting. Sometimes aligned action is you sitting back and allowing yourself to receive. A lot of times we'll actually get our best ideas, our best creative thoughts, our best ways of maybe even working through a situation that we're in when we are in a rest state, because we're not in survival. The nervous system has now turned the other way, where we're in a rest and digest state. And oftentimes people think of the word digest as digesting food, but digest also means like working through and metabolizing the things that are going on in your life. And when you're in a rested state, you absolutely can see things a little bit more clearly and different than when you're in a survival state. So resting is so, so, so important in anything that you're doing. The other thing I'm going to talk about is this feeling and this energy, if you're in hustle and like a hustle from a lack state, is like you have to catch up. You have to play, catch up all the time. You are comparing yourself to everybody else around you. Or, you're comparing yourself to someone on Instagram, or that is horrible for your own, first of all, mental state, magnetism, to continuously compare yourself to someone else, something else. Comparison is the thief of joy. And that's what you're doing to yourself. You are robbing yourself of joy. What I want you to do is when you feel yourself in a state where you are comparing yourself to somebody else, or you feel like you have to try to keep up with them, what I want you to do is sit back and actually just be so like appreciative. And so, first of all, appreciative of where you are right now. And also, I want you to send whoever it is that you are comparing yourself to so much love, celebration, excitement for where they are, and know that if they've done something, you can do it too. And you can do it without the excuses of must be easy for them, or without the snarky comments of, oh, it's easy for them because, where you're making an excuse to why they can do it and you can't, right? Like, I really want you to sit with that and just say, man, that's so good. Like when I see somebody win, when I see somebody celebrate something, or say they hit this milestone in their business, or they hit this milestone in their fitness journey, or maybe they've hit, they just like got into a flow with themselves and they've shifted their lives in some way. I am celebrating everyone in that. if it's something that they are working towards, that I'm working towards also, I'm like, damn, if they did it, so can I. That's amazing. Yes. Right. And you start to get into that state. And what does that make you? More magnetic. It makes you way more magnetic. And when you're magnetic, you start to really call in your people. You start to call in the life that you actually want to be living. And suddenly you don't have to have anything to compare yourself to because you're living that type of life. Also, just a side note, something on social media, someone on social media, people in your life, you never know what they are going through. You never know. Everything can look so beautiful and so amazing on the outside, and behind closed doors, they are falling apart, or behind closed doors, there's other things that are going on. So when you compare yourself to somebody, if you do, what I want you to do is stop yourself right there and remind yourself that everybody has their own things going on. Everyone. There's actually not one person that doesn't have something. In all of my years now of coaching, of doing healing, spinal energetics, everything that I've done that I've been doing in my life, I have not met one person that doesn't have things going on. And it's people that you think have it all. Like, I went to an influencer event, and there were people there with millions of followers. There were people there with hundreds of thousands of followers. Huge. If you saw them, you would know exactly who they were if you like things in that space. And these people sat with me, and as it tends to happen when I'm in a room with people, whether they know what I do or not, I think it's just an energy that I put out there. People start to open up to me. Maybe it's the questions I ask. I don't know. But because I don't like just surface level conversation, but when I open myself up to them, or they really are opening themselves up to me, I start to hear all the insecurities and all of the things that they are going through on their end. And it's everyone. Like no one is immune to it, because we all have our own stories. So when you are looking at somebody and comparing yourself and like, why is it happening for them and not for me? Like, pull back, babe. Pull back and be like, damn, what is so good in my life? And let's start looking at that. And like, also, just like everybody else, they have their own things, I'm sure, that really worry them, right? Like, please, please, please try to remember that. And as you remember that, you start to feel better and more grateful for what you do have, and maybe for how far you've come, because I think that how far you've come is something that really gets lost in the shuffle when you can sit back and say, damn, I have come so far in my life, in this journey. I, really have been giving it my all, or I'm not where I used to be. And I'm so grateful that I have been putting in that work, putting in that time, putting in that effort. Like, that right there is the magic. That's where the magic lies. And when you start to find gratitude in your life for the things that you have, your magnetism turns on even more. And you start to begin to see yourself shift out of a fear-based hustle mentality into this magnetic flow state. And, I'm saying flow because sometimes water flows and it's flowing fast, babe, and you got to keep up. And sometimes it's still and it's calm. And then all of a sudden it moves and grooves again. And that's how we need to be. So let's not poo-poo hustle culture. Let's look at it and see, when we are moving quickly, what is the intention and energy behind it? And if it is from that lack state, then yeah, we don't want to hustle from that state. But if you're in a soul flow, momentum's going and you're running to keep up, you hustle, baby, and you keep it moving, and you open up to your magnetism, and you allow yourself to be more magnetic and more magnetic, and you stay in that flow. And that's when things really get fun and really get exciting. So I hope that you enjoyed this episode of the Spirit and Soul podcast. And please do me a favor, leave us a review if you are feeling inspired, if this podcast episode or any other podcast episodes have really moved you, inspired you, created some change in your life. I would love to hear from you, and they really make a difference to spread this message far and wide that you create your reality, and for healing and the magnetism and the manifestations and all the things. So I appreciate you. I love you. Thank you so much. And I'll see you on the next episode.